Hi and good afternoon. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. It's called Different Perspective for a good reason. My name is Leon Jahi, and this is going to be one of the reasons why our channel just gives you a different way of thinking and viewing life. Today, we're going to talk about an emotion that is very critical to all humans. In a very weird way, it's part of what has built us to where we are right now. And because of that particular emotion, most of us have given up on ourselves. And it's shame. Shame, it occurs in a day-to-day basis, but there's a bearable amount of shame. And then there's toxic shame. One that is inflicted on you from a very tender age and you don't even know how to feel about yourself. Toxic shame is where you feel worthless. Like you are nobody. Yani umejidharau. So hautaki aibu, which is toxic shame. Most of us don't even know what our own voice looks like because of shame. And it's the one thing we all dread and we don't want to experience from anyone. Because at that first time that you felt ashamed, it was such a terrible feeling that is soul crushing. I did write a few things, so I'm able to have a train of thought. And there's a very big difference between shame and guilt. When you're shameful or when you're feeling shame, it comes and goes, and it's something that makes you question yourself. Guilt, on the other hand, you do something that you shouldn't have done. So you had consent. You at least have a thought process to it. Let me give you an example of guilt and shame. Let's say you wet your bed and your parent maybe comes and tells you, well, let's go get you cleaned up and you'll be all good and all that. That is one set of parent. And you have another parent that tells you, what's wrong with you? Mbona unashinanga mkojoa kwa kitanda? Haoni wewe ni mtu mkubwa? Nini inakuanga mbaya na wewe? That line of thinking tells you, kwa nini inafanyanga unajiuliza kwani mimi nini mbaya na mimi? And guilt ni unajua haufai kulamba skari, but una sneak, unalamba, unakaa. Ukiulizwa, unasema si wewe. So the fact that you lied, you feel guilty about something. There's a clear thought process to that. But shame, there's none. And toxic shame it's a very, it's one of those, the heaviest thing you have to work on yourself about. You wouldn't know who you are if you've questioned yourself all along about every decision just because you don't want to be ashamed. And the worst bit about toxic shame is you don't even know how to talk to yourself. It's sad that most of us live our lives avoiding to be ashamed. Well, no one is telling us it's okay to feel some type of way about certain things. And it's okay that life doesn't go how we want it sometimes. And it's okay that bad things were done to us. But that's not it. It can be the life we choose to live every day. You have to choose to be your own person. And my friend asked me a very interesting question today. We were just sitting and she asked me, do you journal? And I said, yes. And you're like, what do you do with the journal once it's full and stuff? I tell her I keep them. And she's like, what if it ever goes public? It is what it is. I wrote what I felt, how I felt it when I did. It's part of the person that I have become. It's part of the process that has built me up. I'm no longer ashamed of it. Yes, hii na hivi ilikuwa imesemekana ni mbaya kwako. Ni sawa, ilisemwa imeisha. I'm no longer ashamed of it. Nobody can hold you hostage. You're done giving anyone the power to make you feel bad about yourself. And how do you get to do that? I'm going to touch on the signs of an ashamed person. They withdraw. How wanajitoa, hawakongo. And then there's anger. Simply because people are so ashamed of who they are. The only way they get it out there is through anger. That is their first line of emotion. It's how terrible anyone is feeling inside about themselves. They don't know what other communication there is besides anger. Some people get into substance abuse because it gives them a time to escape reality. Some have like eating disorders, because food gives comfort. And some people are so ashamed or they're so scared to be ashamed that they cause self-harm. Yani umejipoteza mpaka hata unajiumiza. But how do you mitigate that? First of all, accept. You have to come to accept that you made the choices you did, you lived the life that you lived, but then that's just not it. You have to accept that it's okay you didn't have control on that. There's no should have, would have situation that would have played out. Ishafanyika, ni sawa. Accept it. Once you've accepted it, forgive yourself. Forgive yourself for not knowing. Forgiving yourself for expecting more. Forgive yourself for not talking about it. Once you've forgiven yourself, you start learning how to talk to yourself. If anything sounds off, if anything sounds like self-loathing, you start talking to yourself with more kindness, more love. You start treating yourself like somebody that you love. You see, there you go out of your way for someone you love. Do that for you. Slowly by slowly, you start to take your power back. And it gets to a point that as long as you're giving the best, no one can make you feel some type of way. Yani, mtu hata kurudisha pale umejitoa. So if the life you choose to live, or the things you choose to do in life, let them be so that you're okay with it, that no one can shame you about it. Ukiamua ndio maisha yenye mimi nataka kuishi. Walisema go to school, get married, nini, but then you've lived a life of so much pain. It's because you're too ashamed of failing. Go choose what you want, what makes you happy. And if you've kept a circle of friends that make you feel ashamed about yourself, wachana nayo. It's okay to be just you for a while. And then find people who make you feel good about yourself. When you find them, you keep them. I've given what shame feels like, what it does, and what you need to do about it. But the most fundamental thing you have to first do is to find the root cause of that shame. Go back to the first time in life somebody made you feel such a very strong emotion that it changed who you are. You have to first go to where you feel first ashamed lini. Hiyo feeling ya shame hiyo mzito, hiyo aibu. Nani alikufanya uifeel mara ya kwanza? Because we can always remember. when you do, accept that it already happened and it is what it is. Forgive yourself, just like I've mentioned. Talk better to yourself. Know that every time you choose yourself, it will come with a little pain, but the reward is way greater. You are permitting yourself to live. You're giving yourself, yani unajisikiza, unajipea permission, ama tu you're giving yourself a voice to do things. And because you can hold yourself accountable to it. So if that causes you shame, it's okay. Lose those people that cause you to feel ashamed of who you are. With the time you find your tribe, you find people who speak your language. And it will be okay. I will conclude this by saying, I keep saying, the greatest irony of death is actually life. We are just breathing, walking, and feeling things, but we are so dead inside. We have to come to realize that we actually have a choice to choose a life that we think is fit for us, and to get the things that we put out there for people. Like, you live life on your own terms. Na ukianguka, ni sawa pia. At least ulijisikiza. If it doesn't turn out how you thought it would, it's okay. You get to do something else. You get to try another way. Fail 10, I don't know how many times. As long as every step of the way you're choosing yourself, there's no point of giving yourself stress. You must be the biggest forgiver of yourself. And in forgiving, you just don't blindly forgive. You get accountable for your part of how things went wrong. And then you forgive yourself for not knowing better. So, tuache kuogopa aibu. Kama kuaibika inamaanisha wewe kujichagua, it's very okay. Aibika. Kwani everybody hapa hivi nje, kila mtu ana struggle na maisha yao. Hawataki tu kusema. No one has it laid out that this is how life should go. No one. Everybody is doing a bunch of guesswork. So yes, if they laugh, that's okay. Ni sawa. Wakikukataa ni sawa. Ni sawa. After all, umekuwa ukiishi ukikuwa somebody else. If you're kicked out of the house, it's okay. If it means you, and it's interesting, I was having this conversation just the other day with some girls, and we were talking about parenting. The fact that we give birth to kids, it doesn't guarantee love to the child. It doesn't guarantee that you will feel those things you see in the movies. A part of you changes. And most times, women and men, they have chosen to be toxic because they can't live in the contrary. You're in a situation where you have a kid with someone. And you yourself unajua hauko sawa. Ama you're raising this kid by yourself. Unajua hauko sawa. Hujajisort. If you keep having this kid, you'll be hurting them more than you're hurting yourself, which in turn fucks up the whole situation. Kama unajua hauko able ama una capacity ya kukuwa a parent, ama kuchunga tu mtu, and you have help, take it. Take it. Because somebody has to stop that generational spewing of pain and anger. Si lazima ati ujishikilie ati ionekanange wewe ndo strong single woman umealiraise mtoi peke yake when you lost yourself throughout it. Umejidamage na ukadamage mtoi wako. If help comes through, take it. Wacha kuogopa kuaibika. Take it. You need it. If your baby daddy is giving a helping hand, or your baby mama is giving a helping hand, accept. So see what it feels like to be lifted off some baggage. And maybe that goes against what your clique of friends think. Or maybe that goes beyond what your parents expect of you. But if it makes you feel better about yourself, keep making that kind of decision. People will adjust. Those who love you will always understand. Wacheni uoga. The only reason I tell people to pray for courage is we have lived in so much shame that we fear to even just trust ourselves to do some things. So when you're praying for courage is to know that I'm learning to choose and trust myself. And no matter what the outcome actually looks like, I'm okay with it. I'll leave it at that. If you understand what I'm saying, just do better. Shame is not entirely a terrible thing. It tells you have a conscience, but toxic shame is soul crushing. Don't lose your soul to it. It's not entirely bad, but being shameless, no, that is terrible. So shame is okay. Just don't let it be toxic. We will be tackling human emotions and how to the best. The best way I understand how. If it resonates with you, okay. If it doesn't, well, that's all right too. But I'm sure there's one person that get to change their life because of conversations like this. And for that one particular person, tutaendelea kujiangalia. I know we can't look at ourselves. I know we can't face ourselves, but pole tu. We will get to a place where we know we are choosing the life we are living. Bye. Until next time, see you next Wednesday, and let me know how these conversations make you feel.